Hey everyone, welcome to Area 616. So a couple of days ago, I finally got around to seeing Rogue One, a Star Wars story. The tale of a ragtag team of rebels as they fight to steal the plans for the Death Star from the Empire, therefore kicking off the events of the original Star Wars trilogy. And I'm happy to say that I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was really good, and in my opinion, better than Star Wars The Force Awakens, though I did enjoy that movie too. One of the things I really like about this movie is how brave it is. There are no spoilers here, but the movie truly does live up to its promise of being darker and grittier, in ways that it actually surprises me that Disney allowed. However, it definitely isn't completely dark, and has some pretty good humor here and there, especially from the reprogrammed Imperial droid K2SO. One of the only complaints I can really think of about the movie was that the first maybe 20 minutes, 30, were spent jumping back and forth between different planets, introducing a bunch of characters. It wasn't terrible, necessarily, but I understand it was necessary, but it was a little rough. It actually kind of reminded me of The War Horse, which is this movie Steven Spielberg made in 2009, I think, that has nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with Rogue One, but here you go. But it reminds me of that because the first 30 minutes of War Horse were actually really boring stuff. And that was necessary because it introduces the characters and all that, but it didn't really get good until the actual war started. Then it was great. Rogue One was kind of like that. The first half wasn't necessarily boring, but the latter half of the movie, the part where the actual action gets going, was the clearly superior portion of the film. Speaking of which, the action in this movie was extremely impressive. It was classic Star Wars with laser guns and dogfights in space, but with this grit to it that the other Star Wars movies didn't have, an intensity that actually made this movie fresh. So many of the blockbusters nowadays are very lighthearted and fun, and they're good, but this just felt like something new, simply because it was a little more brave than they were. All of the characters were pretty enjoyable too. I wouldn't necessarily say that there was anything about them that made them instant classics to me, but I did enjoy the fact that they weren't just clean-cut heroes. A lot of people are drawing comparisons between Jyn Erso and Rey, but they're actually pretty different. While their origins are similar, everything else is complete opposites. Rey is just kind of a good person, while Jyn isn't necessarily a bad person, but she's much rougher, I guess you could say. That's something else I liked, was the way the rebellion was depicted. In the other Star Wars movies, they're pretty much just the good guys, but in this, we see that they aren't evil, but at the same time, they aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. In any event, the best scene in the whole movie, I won't necessarily spoil what's happening or when it happens, but it's a scene with Darth Vader in a hallway, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just awesome and is a clear example of why Darth Vader has gone on to become one of the most iconic villains in all of movie history. The effects, whether they're practical or CGI, are, as expected, extremely impressive. In Star Wars The Force Awakens, there was like this one glaring squid scene where the squid monster was so obviously CGI, and strangely enough, there's something like that here too, though the CGI was a lot better. But in closing, Rogue One, a Star Wars story is a great movie. It has a bit of a rough start, but it picks up as it goes along and gives an intense and very well made movie as it goes. I'd definitely give this a 4.5 out of 5. It honestly would have been 5 out of 5 if it weren't for the rough start. But what did you think of Rogue One? Did you like it as much as I did, or less so? But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.